You have probably seen it before, a small yellow jar labeled curry powder. The name makes it sound simple. Open the jar, add a spoonful, and you have curry. But that is where the story gets strange. In many places famous for curry, from India to Thailand and beyond, curry does not usually begin with a ready-made yellow powder. It begins with whole spices, fresh aromatics, pastes, family habits, and techniques passed through kitchens over time. So what is curry powder really? Is it a traditional spice blend or a convenient shortcut that turned a vast food tradition into something you could keep on a shelf? To understand that little jar, we have to start with the word curry itself. Let's get into it right here on Secrets of Simple Things. The word before the powder. Before curry powder existed, there was curry, and even that word is less simple than it looks. The word curry is often linked to a Tamil word connected with sauce, gravy, or a spiced dish. But through European use, it became a wide label for many different foods. In South Asia, there is no single dish called curry that explains everything. There are dishes made with meat, fish, vegetables, lentils, yogurt, coconut, tamarind, chilies, herbs, and countless combinations of spices. One region may build flavor around mustard seeds and curry leaves. Another may lean on dried chilies, cumin, coriander, or fresh aromatics. The important thing is that the flavor did not begin with one fixed jar. Before curry powder existed, curry was not a powder. It was a way of cooking, seasoning, layering, and balancing flavor. So the strange part is not that curry powder exists. The strange part is how something so varied became compressed into one standard blend. A shortcut born from empire. That compression happened through history, trade, and empire. During the 18th and 19th centuries, many British traders, officials, soldiers, and families lived in India under colonial rule. There, they encountered foods that were warmer, richer, and more heavily spiced than much of what they knew at home. These dishes came from different regions and kitchens, but to many British tastes, they seemed to belong to one broad world of flavor. Then came the problem of returning home. Back in Britain, people wanted to recreate the dishes they remembered. But they did not always have the same fresh ingredients, cooking methods, or understanding of how spices were used. They needed something easier, dry, portable, shelf-stable, and simple enough for a home cook. So curry powder began to take shape as a kind of translation. Not a perfect translation, but a practical one. They did not invent curry. They helped turn a broad living food tradition into a shelf-stable product. That is why curry powder is not an ancient original recipe. It is a product of contact, memory, commerce, and convenience. And once curry became something you could put in a jar, the next question was simple. What should that jar contain? What is actually inside the jar? Open that jar, and the first thing you usually notice is the color. That deep yellow often comes from turmeric, one of the most common ingredients in curry powder. Turmeric gives the blend its golden look, but it also brings an earthy, slightly bitter base note. Then there is often cumin, which adds warmth and nutty depth. Coriander can bring a brighter, almost citrus-like lift. Fenugreek adds something more unusual, a slightly bitter, slightly sweet aroma many people recognize without being able to name. From there, the recipe can change. Some blends include ginger for sharpness, mustard seeds for bite, black pepper for heat, or cinnamon and cloves for a warmer edge. One brand may taste mild and rounded. Another may be hotter or more pungent. There is no single universal formula for curry powder. Curry powder is less like a single recipe and more like a flavor profile. It does not really say, "This is curry." It says, "This is the taste many people outside South Asia learned to associate with curry." But this is where the little jar becomes controversial, because flavor is not only about ingredients, it is also about timing. Why? Traditional curry is built, not sprinkled. This is the part a jar cannot fully explain. In many traditional kitchens, spices are not treated as one powder added all at once. They are handled in stages because the same spice can taste different depending on what happens to it. Some spices are toasted until their oils wake up. Some are fried in hot oil so their flavor spreads through the fat before anything else goes into the pot. Some are ground fresh. Others are left whole so they release their flavor slowly. That timing matters. Cumin becomes warmer after toasting. Mustard seeds turn sharp and nutty when they pop in oil. Even the order of ingredients changes the final dish. Traditional curry is not just a list of spices, it is a sequence. A spoonful of curry powder skips much of that sequence. It gives you ready-made flavor quickly, which is why it became useful. But convenience has a trade-off. The flavor can be pleasant, yet flatter than a dish built step by step. So when people ask whether curry powder is real curry, the honest answer is more interesting than yes or no. Is curry powder real curry? If by real curry we mean one complete traditional way of cooking, then curry powder is not the whole truth. It is not how many families in South Asia build flavor every day. It cannot replace freshly ground masala, spices bloomed in oil, regional ingredients, family habits, or the small adjustments a cook makes by smell, memory, and taste. But calling it fake would also be too simple. Curry powder is real as a product. It has its own history. It has shaped real dishes and real eating habits around the world. It is an adaptation, born from contact between cultures, then shaped by trade, memory, and convenience. The problem begins only when that shortcut is mistaken for the entire tradition. Curry powder is like a doorway. It can lead someone toward warm spices and deeper curiosity, but it is not the whole house. So the fairest answer is this: curry powder is not fake. It is simplified. And that difference matters. You can see that even more clearly when you compare it with other things that also get called curry. Curry powder is only one doorway. Look around the world and curry keeps changing shape. In India, there is not one general spice mix that explains every dish. There are many kinds of masala, each shaped by region, recipe, and purpose. Garam masala, for example, is often used for aroma and warmth, sometimes near the end of cooking. In Thailand, curry often moves in a different direction. Many Thai curries begin with a wet paste made from lemongrass, chilies, garlic, galangal, shrimp paste, and herbs, then cooked with coconut milk. In Japan, curry became thicker, slightly sweet, and comforting, often made with a roux. In the Caribbean and parts of Africa, curry powder was adapted into local dishes shaped by regional ingredients, heat, and history. So curry powder is not wrong, it is one branch on a much larger tree. The word curry points to a whole family of ideas, and that may be the reason curry powder survived, not because it was complete, but because it was useful. Why the shortcut became popular. For all its limits, curry powder solved a very practical problem. It made bold flavor easy. You did not need to buy 10 different spices, toast them, grind them, or bloom them in oil. You could open one jar, add one spoonful, and suddenly soup, stew, marinade, rice, roasted vegetables, or simple meat tasted warmer and more interesting. That mattered, especially for home cooks far from the places where those traditions began. Curry powder was affordable, shelf-stable, easy to ship, easy to sell, and easy to understand. Curry powder became popular because it made something complex feel approachable. But the same thing that made it useful also made it limited. It turned a layered food tradition into something predictable. So the real question is not whether you should throw it away. The better question is how you should understand it. A good first step into curry. So should you use curry powder? Yes. Just understand what it is doing. If you want a quick weeknight meal, curry powder can be genuinely useful. It works well in soups, stews, marinades, roasted vegetables, rice dishes, and simple braises. It gives food a warm, comforting flavor without asking you to measure 5 or 6 different spices every time. There is nothing wrong with that. But if you want to understand curry more deeply, the jar is only the beginning. Try whole spices, fresh aromatics, masala made for a specific dish, or Thai curry paste built from herbs and chilies. Notice how flavor changes when spices are added early, late, whole, ground, dry, or bloomed in oil. Use it as an introduction, not as the full story. Because in the end, the most interesting thing about curry powder is not what it contains, but what it leaves out. A whole world in one small jar. Curry powder is not an untouched ancient tradition. It is not one original recipe that represents every curry ever made. It is a product of history, empire, cultural exchange, commerce, memory, and convenience. It turned a vast world of flavor into something people could buy, store, sprinkle, and understand quickly. That is both its strength and its limitation. Because curry is not just yellow color, turmeric, cumin, or a familiar warm smell rising from a pan. Curry can be technique, region, family, memory, timing, balance, and habit. Curry powder is only one small doorway into that world. And once you know that, the next time you see that little jar, you may not see just a spice blend. You may see a surprisingly large history inside. If this small jar changed the way you think about curry powder, subscribe to Secret of Simple Things. And if there is another simple thing you want us to explore next, leave your suggestion in the comments below.